Muchachos y muchachas. Okay, so the border situation. A lot has transpired over the last 72 or so hours. Yeah, it hasn't been that long. And there's been a lot that's transpired. My goodness, where do I even start? I just wanted to kind of recap some of the highlights of the past 3 days as to how it has landed us there. And actually, if you are keen to independent journalism and some form of keeping yourself updated in niche topics like this, then you are already following people like Anthony Aguero at Border Network News, or Oscar Del Blue over at Border Network News as well. They're very specialized in this area. They cover this very specifically. So if you've been following them, then you've been able to see what's been transpiring. But if you haven't, wait right there. We're going to go through it. Friends, let's face it, the future of America is looking worse each day. Those who are observant have the feeling that something really bad might happen soon. If it does, are you prepared? Do you have enough food, water, and other essentials to get you through tough times? If not, check out My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's #1 preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families. Right now, you can save 25% off of their popular 4-week emergency food kit, which will keep you well fed with your 4 weeks worth of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. The food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it will be there when you need it. In fact, you might need it a lot sooner than that. So don't wait. Go to preparewithnatly.com and claim your 4-week emergency food kit. You'll save 25% if you act now. That's preparewithnatly.com. Don't wait. Do it today. All right, so let's talk about this border situation. As you guys may know, I have been in and out of the border scene because of, my time with Anthony and, going down to the border myself to see this actually transpire in real life. Now, as obviously I'm not there right now, I am in my studio, so I thought that I would cover it at high level as to what has transpired in the past few days over in Del Rio, Texas. Del Rio, Texas, there is an international bridge. There are many breach points in which we have actually been able to stream, migration, illegal immigration there, several points before. Now, what is transpiring, or what has transpired over the last 72 hours is extremely historical. We have never seen this we've never seen it like this in the history of our, law and order here in the United States, I don't think. There are tens of thousands of people crossing into Texas as we speak right at this very moment. Now, there have been some sort of Band-Aid patches that apparently this governor is attempting to pass off as some sort of law and order. I'm also going to rant about that, so be prepared. But there is definitely a lack of any sort of really strong infrastructure in our legislative body. It's failed in so many points. So let's just take it back. 3 days ago, I believe it was Bill Melugin. I think he's with Fox. I'm not quite sure. Bill Melugin actually circulated this very viral video of a bunch of migrants crossing the Del Rio. There's a dam in Del Rio between Mexico and this breach point. And so you just saw hundreds. At this little pocket scene of migrants just crossing back and forth into Mexico and the U.S., either to, buy food and drink and come back, or whatever they needed and come back. But with that being said, they were coming back and forth without repercussion. There was no arrest, no detaining. It was just, there were so many. And let me just pause and say that there are only so many Border Patrol resources. There are only so many resources that can actually they can actually take effect of their job to its fullest. And so with that being said, they are outnumbered. They are vastly outnumbered. And this is the problem, and this is the absolute, this is the failure of this administration, not just of our residential administration, but also our gubernatorial administration. And I speak for Texas. I don't know about Arizona. I don't know about California or even New Mexico, or if there's even, a lot of breach activity the way we have here in Texas. Texas is my home state. I was born and raised here, and I am completely baffled and appalled by what has transpired over the past 72 hours. So taking it back again, 3 days ago, Bill Melugin, he reported that the FAA had invented some form of rule in which you couldn't fly anything overhead the international bridge, or at least that vicinity and area. With that being said, that was very suspicious and curious. Yeah, because why wouldn't you want to see a bird's eye view of what is going on? And so he was able to hop on I believe a Del Rio police helicopter, and he was able to capture footage of what was transpiring at Del Rio, and in which was very shocking. Encampments everywhere. I'm also going to touch on that point as well. Encampments everywhere, undisclosed, unseen little areas where you can't see what's going on here and there. I mean, there's just a lot of concern for this, because not only are people coming in unvetted, unchecked, and not only these people can just go around the encampment. There could be other breach points, for crying out loud. So, that's one thing. But he was able to actually showcase what was going on. So that is where all hell broke loose. And at least with independent reporting, as I mentioned in the very beginning, if you're not following Border Network News or, these individuals, you're really missing out, because they are actually on the boots on the ground, showcasing the transparency of what the mainstream media will not show you. Okay. All right. So taking it from the FAA, that was already very iffy. Why would the FAA, not want anybody to showcase this bird's eye view of what's going on? So moving forward, yesterday, it was apparent throughout the day that trooper units were called on scene, and it was pretty much every single unit that could get down there. That was what was reported by Anthony over at Border Network News. Every single unit that could get down to the border, it was ordered that they did. And so with that being said, all of these units ended up going to the border, and it wasn't quite clear why. There was sort of a lingering curiosity as to why they were called down there, and they were kind of just lingering around throughout the day. You could see them, throughout daytime. You could see it in this photo here, but they were called down to the border. All these state troopers. Now, when you think of state troopers, and I don't know about you, but when I think state trooper, I think patrolled highways, right? I think, they're there to keep us safe in a vehicular sense, or patrol, the community, if that. But when I think of state troopers, that's what I think of. I think that they are patrolling the highways. They're patrolling us in such a way, and keeping us safe in such a way that, they're protecting us in a vehicular sense, meaning that, traffic violations or traffic crimes, whatever. So when you call all of these troopers down to the border, you have to think, what for? What's going on? Well, later on that night, we got a little bit more sense of why they called these troopers down. And apparently it was to make this makeshift human trooper law enforcement wall to deter these migrants from crossing in. And if you ask me, you think that's a little bit temporary. Yeah, you think that that's not quite the solution that we're looking for, but that's exactly what they were doing. They created this state trooper law enforcement barrier, with their vehicles, with their units, turned on all of their lights, and basically made it a temporary intimidation tactic or deterring tactic in order to keep the migrants from crossing in to Texas. Okay. So this is my question. Why? Why even do that? Why even utilize state troopers? The thing that I think of immediately is, as I stated, when I think state troopers, I think you're patrolling. I think you're keeping the community safe, keeping the Texas highway safe from, troublemakers on the road, on the highways, this and that. Possibly, seeking out these dangerous individuals that might have warrants out. That sense, right? I wouldn't think that state troopers are equipped or trained to handle some sort of riot control, some sort of crowd pushback, some sort of, crowd control. And so what I am confused about is why they were utilized just at all. And that's a question that you should also be asking yourself, especially if you are in Texas. If you are in Texas and you support the current governor, and many do, you got to ask yourself, just ask yourself this question. For the past years that this particular individual, the current governor of the state of Texas, has sat in office for at least 5 years, almost a decade, really, being within the Texan politics arena, you would have to think that if it were a priority, it is a huge priority, by the way, to secure our borders, for state security, for, even the duty of national security, because we are a border state. We are open to the Gulf of Mexico. You would think that would be a top priority and top reactionary, the top reactionary action as far as legislature and action. Okay. We have had this governor for almost 10 years, not quite, but almost 10 years. Why is it that in 2021, we are still scrambling for border security? Why is it that we're building chain link fences in response to this debacle, to this crisis? Why is it that instead of advocating for, for instance, the wall and the things that, at least the prior presidency, you guys know, the 𝘱𝘶, he advocated for these things, right? Why is it that we come here in 2021 and we are still scrambling, not just scrambling, for border security, but we're scrambling in the midst of one of the worst scenarios we could ever possibly face, and that is a mass migration. I can't say the I word because these platforms, they will demonize you for even utilizing the INV word. So I can't say that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we had all this time to secure what we needed to secure, and yet it has not happened. So think about that and let that just sit. If you are a Texan and you are thinking, these these talking points and these promises of state security, of border security, border funding, and all these operations are being had. We're going to arrest these people. We're going to arrest the Texas Democrats, who fled the state. We're going to from running from their duties of legislative action. We're going to arrest all of these people coming into our state, illegally. And yet it has not happened. These are just talking points. These are lies. These are false promises that have been made to us Texans. Texas, wake up. Wake up. Because this is happening, and it is happening at a very fast rate. And now that this is around the corner, we have got to wake up, and we have got to get our hands and our boots on the ground to legislatively, civil process wise. We have got to participate. It is time to wake up. So there's my little rant about the whole state trooper thing. I just thought that was incredible that, instead of utilizing our National Guard or enlisting some sort of military action to secure our borders, because let's be honest, these Border Patrol agents are so overwhelmed. Okay. They cannot do this all on their own. They're not only expected to, do some of their job as far as, they're securing the border duties and all of which of that, but they are also expected to wear another hat, an Uber, a social worker, a data entry personnel. They're expected to do all of this. Don't you think that they're getting tired of this? Don't you think that they're getting tired of being overrun and underappreciated and basically being treated like poop? They're tired. This is not the job of a border patrol. This is the job of a military serviceman. This is the job of the military itself. And I reported just the other week that we're sending money over to Tajikistan. Tajikistan is on the border of Afghanistan, and they are strengthening their border security, but we cannot strengthen ours. This is a deliberate thing that is happening here in the United States. Okay. Now, the next thing that I wanted to address, there was a fun little article that was written about yours truly. Not about me. It wasn't about me, but it was more so about the whole border situation. And this is a far leftist columnist by the name of 𝘱𝘞 Guerrero, who just completely fabricated an entire mythos upon mythos idea that people who report on this or make it bad is conspiracy theorist. The oldest trick in the book, at least for 2020, 2021. So if there's something that you don't like, and you don't like the way that truthers fight for it, you don't like the way conservatives talk about it, then we can automatically dub you as a conspiracy theorist. It's that easy. It's just like Zatarain's, like Sazon, like Goya. Just sprinkle that conspiracy theorist label on them, and automatically they become dangerous. At least that is what this article is trying to insinuate. This is an article that is written by a far left columnist. And I'm not even going to say columnist. This is a blogger, because of the style in which this person, who ironically themselves have essentially created their own conspiracy theory, because there's nothing conspiratorial about the border if you know how to process and watch things for yourself, because there's footage that you can watch for yourself and, really just conceptualize and process this for what you see. But no, this conspiracy, this blue anon conspiracy theorist by the name of 𝘱𝘞 Guerrero, who works for the Los Angeles Times as well as the Daily Beast, has thus spun the entire border crisis into this crazy piece in which she is alleging that anybody who is reporting on these matters, these independent journalists, are now dangerous. And why is because they are fueling the conspiracy theory of a certain movement, a 17th letter in the alphabet. Is that not the craziest thing you've ever seen? So now, if you view and you process this footage with your own eyes, you're watching this live stream and you're able to either corroborate with context clues or maybe with even experience, if you are in the medical field, the medical profession, and you're able to conceptualize and process this yourself, that's not allowed, because if you do that, you are now a conspiracy theorist and you're very dangerous. I'm just going to kind of pick just some pieces in this article. I'm not really going to go read through it because it doesn't deserve that much time to it. But basically what this is saying is that, these patriots at the border who are advocating for children and, that were conspiracy theorizing on children being exploited and drugged and, all these things, because that just doesn't happen apparently. Does that not sound like the craziest thing to you? Like that does not happen. So you're telling me that thousands upon thousands of people crossing the border every day, you're telling me that there's not one exploiter? There's not one trafficker? Not one? So anyway, continuing on. This basically theorizes that if you process this information for yourself, you are now dangerous. And of course, yours truly and her fiance are mentioned in this article as, such as more geared towards Anthony, unfortunately, calling him some kind of, disgraceful person for reporting on this and showcasing this transparency. And so it also mentions, for instance, a Democrat representative, that this person says that this is disgraceful. And then they go to a Border Patrol and basically the Border Patrol says there's no evidence, which, this is one thing that I will give it. There is no direct implicative evidence because they do not test these children anymore. They don't DNA test them. So how are we supposed to have direct evidence is my question. There was some very important field notes, and I read them on my live stream, but they were basically by Ed's Manifesto, who is Ed Calderon, as well as a combat medic who, basically said, hey, this is classic signs of diazepam, of maybe even heroin, cocktail with vodka or chloroform. There was just a lot of telltale signs in their body, the way that these kids, they're reactionary to the light and to being picked up and their bodies being noodle-like. There was just a lot of different signs. But of course, people like Jean Guerrero, who have never been to the border or do not go to the border often to witness this herself, I'm pretty sure, will sit there from afar behind her keyboard and try to spin up this sick hit piece, in which, by the way, is so low. Imagine being so sold out that you have to go that low to conspiratorially theorize this weird fantasy that there's no child exploitation, there's no sexual exploitation going on at the border. Which brings me to my next point. Within this big influx going on in Del Rio, underneath the freeway, you see nothing but encampments, huts being built by reeds, just down the river, and, with any sort of plastic objects, tents. Who's to say that there's no sexual exploitation going on there where we can't see it? But no, do not use common sense and do not use critical thinking, guys, because if you do, then you are dangerous. And as her article states at the very bottom, this is what she thinks about you guys. This is what these far left people think about you guys if you even dare question the border crisis and the exploitation that's going on. It says, people like Anthony Aguero, who has an ally in Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the conspiracy movement, this conspiracy theory 17th letter movement is what she's alleging, which, by the way, I have no idea how she peppered the 17 Anon in this at all, because they definitely don't create these crazy, theories that there's no exploitation. Like, to me, that's a conspiracy theory. Like, there's no exploitation. There's no child exploitation. There's no sexual exploitation. Like, there's absolutely no drugging of children. Like, that's a conspiracy theory. So 17 Anons, to me, are not the problem here. It's this dangerous leftist who says that people like you, who are concerned with the border crisis, who are concerned for children's safety and concerned for child exploitation at the border, people like you could usher in a new era of hatred. We must recognize the threat of their disinformation poses to our democracy and to work to stop its viral spread. Jen Guerrero. That's Jen Guerrero. That's what she thinks about you. That's what she thinks about me. That's what she thinks about these independent journalists who are there risking their safety, their lives, to put boots on the ground. So, guys, let me know what you think about this whole border crisis, chaos, this catastrophe going on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what your ideas are on, the handling of all this. It's just weird. It's strange. Let me know. And also, if you're in Texas, let me know, what sort of changes are you looking in your gubernatorial seats that are coming up in 2022? Please let me know those thoughts in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing to my channel. Thank you for supporting the channel as well. As you guys know, I am partly majority viewer funded. So if it is on your heart and you can, please visit the links below to support the channel and to keep me going. Thank you guys so much for your love, support. Please be sure to tell somebody about this channel. And as always, you guys rock. I love you. And before I go, just as a reminder, September 25th, next Saturday in Mission, Texas, there will be a town hall Q&A with myself, Border Network News, and some other field experts in the realms of border control, and as well as human trafficking combating advocates. They will be on the panel with us to address the crisis of human exploitation. So be there. If you are in Texas, please support, please go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your love. I will catch you guys in the next episode.